Building AI into your business used to mean paying top dollar for access to models from OpenAI or Anthropic. For a long time, if you wanted top-tier reasoning, you paid the premium API toll. But as user volume scales, those per-token fees compound rapidly. Companies find themselves burning through their runway just to keep their AI features online, often forcing them to throttle user access to stop the bleeding. There is a different approach. Publicly available foundation models can be downloaded, customized, and run on your own hardware without paying a third-party subscription fee for every interaction. Right now, the most downloaded open-source AI ecosystem on the planet isn't American. It's Alibaba's Qwen. Tech leaders at major Western companies are already quietly migrating their back-end infrastructure to these models to escape high per-token pricing. Airbnb uses Qwen to power its customer service bot. Their CEO noted they bypass OpenAI's latest models for many-tasks because the open-source alternatives are faster and cheaper. This switch helped cut their average issue resolution time from nearly 3 hours to 6 seconds. Treating premium APIs as the only option creates a substantial, ongoing financial liability for your business. This migration is happening rapidly across the entire global market as companies look for more efficient ways to scale. This chart tracks the global market share of Chinese open-source models based on trillion-token real-world usage. They grew from a 1.2% share in late 2024 to nearly 30% by the end of 2025. The catalyst for this mass adoption comes down to a brutal economic reality. Look at this chart comparing output token costs. OpenAI charges $30 per million tokens. DeepSeek charges 28 cents for that same volume. For a startup processing 50 million tokens a month, that gap turns a $100,000 cloud bill into a $1,000 bill. This shift allows small teams to deploy the same scale of intelligence that previously required a multi-million-dollar venture round. The reason these models became so cost-effective comes from an unlikely source: international trade policy. The U.S. government imposed strict export controls on advanced NVIDIA chips, aiming to limit the scaling capabilities of Chinese AI labs. But restricting access to premium hardware had an unintended effect. Labs could no longer rely on massive compute clusters to brute force their way to a competent model. They had to compensate by writing more efficient code. Denied the raw processing power of top-tier chips, developers engineered highly optimized pathways to navigate around the hardware bottleneck. This constraint accelerated the refinement of an architecture called Mixture of Experts, or MOE. Instead of firing up a multi-billion parameter network for every single prompt, an MOE model routes the request. It activates only a small cluster of specialized parameters needed to answer that specific question, leaving the rest of the model dormant. Hardware restrictions acted as a catalyst, shifting the focus from raw power to extreme architectural efficiency. Because these MOE models require drastically less computing power, you no longer need massive server farms to run them. Businesses can operate them on their own local machines. Recent benchmarks show these local models consistently deliver roughly 90% of the performance of frontier models, while costing about 5% as much to operate. Running the model locally introduces a critical advantage: data sovereignty. You don't have to send your information to a third-party API. When you process internal documents through an external vendor, your proprietary data leaves your network. Keeping the model on-premise means your intellectual property never touches someone else's server. There are valid concerns about Chinese models, including potential exposure to foreign government data requests and higher vulnerabilities to jailbreaking attacks. Running the model on your own hardware severs the connection to foreign servers and blocks third-party data requests, though vulnerabilities still require standard security monitoring. Deploying locally delivers a significant double benefit: a massive reduction in token pricing and total control over your proprietary data. For modern organizations, routing every single prompt through one expensive premium model is a strategic arrow. The smartest teams are building a portfolio AI stack. This diagram maps the portfolio stack. Intelligent routing logic evaluates tasks based on risk and cost. The top pathway routes highly regulated or client-facing functions to premium Western APIs like OpenAI. The bottom branch sends basic, cost-sensitive internal workloads to cheap, self-hosted open-source models. This modular approach directly challenges the traditional methodology of building entire products around heavy dependencies on a single third-party vendor. and capital markets are noticing. The developers behind these hyper-efficient models are already launching multi-billion-dollar IPOs on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Tying your entire infrastructure to one expensive frontier model creates unnecessary risk. Intelligent, flexible modularity is the new baseline for enterprise AI. Your next step is straightforward. Before the end of the week, run a complete audit of your company's AI stack. Look at every place your team uses an API. Categorize those tasks to determine exactly which ones genuinely demand bleeding-edge reasoning capabilities to function. Find the repetitive internal workflows. These are the queries quietly inflating your monthly overhead without actually leveraging the premium capabilities you are paying for. Once you identify those tasks, spin up a low-risk pilot program. Take just one non-critical internal workload and migrate it to a self-hosted open-source model. Track the results closely, measure whether the output quality remains stable, and calculate the exact drop in your compute costs. The AI market has fractured into highly efficient, specialized options. The businesses that adjust their infrastructure to this new reality today will secure a significant operational advantage over competitors still paying premium rates for basic tasks.